Hi, I'm Jen Maleka, functional diagnostic nutrition health coach and personal trainer, and I am a recovered teeth grinder. I wasn't always a teeth grinder, and I'm here to share my personal story and experience with you guys today because there's a lot that I learned about my health as a result of discovering that I was grinding my teeth. So a little over a year and a half ago, maybe almost 2 years ago, I all of a sudden started experiencing pain in a lower molar that I had recently or the year before had a porcelain crown replaced on. And I was just really super sensitive to hot and cold things, and the tooth was starting to ache all the time. It was becoming very intolerable. So I went to my holistic health dentist at the time, and she did an exam on me, and she came back and she had no answers for me. She had no idea why this tooth was bothering me or causing me pain, but she did recommend that I do 3 treatments of ozone therapy, which is something that holistic dentists and other holistic practitioners use to get rid of bacteria, for $400 a pop, and that would maybe fix it. And I just thought to myself, there's no way I'm spending $1,200 on a treatment that I don't even know why I'm being treated for or what I'm being treated for. And so I decided to go back to the original dentist that had replaced the crown in the first place to see if maybe they had messed it up or like they could figure out what was going on. And they did their exam and they came back with no diagnosis or conclusions for me, but they recommended that I should get a root canal. And a root canal is no simple procedure. It's very invasive in the mouth. They're like going in and pulling the roots out, and it can be very traumatic for your body. Not only that, it can be expensive as well. And so I was thinking to myself, there's no way in hell I'm going to go through this traumatic procedure and spend this money again for somebody who can't even provide me an answer as to why. So one of the takeaways that I want you guys to get from me sharing this story with you is that you have to step up and become your own health advocate or own health boss. And there's so many times that we become complacent and we will just take any prescription medication or do any treatment or therapy that so-called like certified or licensed person is giving us when there's no real answers as to why in the first place. You've got to keep asking the question of why to get down to the root of the problem so that you can really resolve whatever is happening with you. So at this point in time, I decided that it was time for me to go get a third opinion. I found a different holistic dentist who a friend of mine had gone and seen and had a great experience with. And he was actually really wonderful. He did a very thorough exam on me. He did a whole CT scan of my head, was able to see that my sinuses were even clogged, and asked me all kinds of questions about my diet and lifestyle. And he came to the conclusion that I was under some stress, which I was. I was in a little bit of a job transition at the time. And as a result of that stress, I was clenching and grinding my teeth at nighttime. So logically, that totally made sense for me. And so I bought into his theory, and I purchased a $500 mouth guard to wear at nighttime from him. And I started wearing the mouth guard, and it did start to alleviate some of the pain, but it didn't resolve it altogether. And it just so happened that during this time of the year, I was also going through and doing my kind of annual cleanse that I do to clean out my gut and kind of check in on my health, because for those of you who don't know, I run functional diagnostic lab tests to look at hormone, immune, and gut dysfunction type of stuff. So I ran a stool sample test on myself, and lo and behold, that stool sample test came back and said that I had a parasite called Blastocystis hominis, and I also had a little bit of candida yeast overgrowth going on in my gut. Well, come to find out, this flipped a switch for me in my brain, and I was like, wait a second, I wonder if this teeth grinding is related to that blasto. I feel like I remember reading that somewhere. And so I did a little bit of research, and within 2.5 seconds on a Google search, I found my answer as to what was really causing my teeth grinding and clenching. It wasn't stress at all. It was the fact that I had these little bugs living in my gut. And blasto can be related. Blasto as a parasite, or many parasites in general, can actually be related to symptoms of teeth grinding or clenching, also known as bruxism. And a lot of symptoms, like when I work with clients, my health coaching clients, and we look at this kind of stuff, they will have a lot of different symptoms going on, and these symptoms are far removed from their gut, but the dysfunction in their gut is what's causing it in the first place. So just to give you guys an idea, like blasto specifically, some other symptoms that you might want to consider, or like if you guys are experiencing this, you might want to take a look at what's going on in your gut. But things like depression, anxiety, being very irritable, strong cravings for processed foods, sugars, or carbohydrates, anything like hives, rashes, eczema, dermatitis, acne, recurring yeast infections, bleeding gums, teeth grinding like I just talked about, even drooling at nighttime, even things like food allergies or food sensitivities, chronic pain and fatigue. And I think sore joints or joint aches and pains is like the number one thing that I see most clients suffering from when they have a parasite. And once we clean those guys out, those things go away automatically. And then also any type of insomnia, like not being able to go to sleep or not sleeping very well. So those are all little red flags or signs and signals that there could be something deeper going on specifically in your gut, and the symptoms are just really far removed. So just to kind of conclusion for you guys, the two things that I really want you to take away from today, one I already mentioned, is that learn from my story, be your own health advocate and be your own health boss, and continually ask that question as to why until you find a specific answer about what is going on with you. And secondly, is that if you are suffering from any of these aches, pains, ailments, fatigue, things that I mentioned before in that long list or that I've listed back over in the email, then you might want to consider what's going on with your gut, especially if you've been trying different remedies and treatments and nothing seems to be resolving the issue for you. And if you're interested in learning more about this, I'm actually hosting a free webinar coming up called the Gut, Mind, Body Connection, where I'm going to go through and teach you how to identify some of the main signs and signals that your gut is giving you that something's not right with your health and well-being. I'm actually bringing in an expert friend of mine, Molly Hamill, who's a life, light, and leadership coach, and she deals with all of like the energetics of your body, so energy systems, meditations and manifestations, and how sometimes when we can shove emotions or stuff things, that can actually manifest in our body and it can cause ulcers. So that old wise tale of stop worrying yourself, you're going to give yourself an ulcer, is actually, there's some truth to it. And her and I together are going to talk about the science and the energetics of what's going on with your gut, what types of signs and signals that you should be looking for, and then what you should be doing about it. So you guys can actually sign up for the webinar. It's happening on April 6th at 6 p.m. Pacific time, 9 p.m. Eastern time. There's a link below for you guys to sign up for the webinar and go ahead and hold your spot. And for the signing up for the webinar, you're also going to get a free Decode Your Gut guide from me, which is a bunch of questionnaires that you can go through to find out if parasites, bacteria, or yeast overgrowth might be a concern for you specifically, and also looking at the other kind of emotional or energetic symptoms that your body, signs that your body is giving you that there's something not right in there. And I want to help you get to the bottom of your biggest health concerns. So please, please, I encourage you to jump on this webinar. It's going to be full of all kinds of good information, and we're going to be talking more about guts and bugs and bacterias and all kinds of cool stuff in that webinar and in the coming weeks leading up to it too. So I hope you guys found this useful, and I will talk to you next week.